Good morning, traders, to the 22nd of June. This is the first ever Tuesday morning outlook and setups. I do this every morning for the community that I'm in and where I have an active role. And I decided that I'm going to start sharing the Tuesday morning analysis, morning outlook, and setups with you guys and on YouTube. So for the existing members, it's only the Tuesday one. And for you guys, I hope you enjoy it and I hope that you find some value in it. So every morning, every Tuesday morning before London session and mostly before Frankfurt session, I'm going to try to get this out on YouTube as well. Alright guys, so I'm going to start. So for the existing members, we know that we mostly look at EU and GU, sometimes some other pairs as well, but those are the two main setups that we focused on and look at. Okay, so I'm going to start by the daily. So we all know we had this really big consolidation for the past 30 days. That was kind of a 30-day range. Then we broke out of that consolidation and then we started, yesterday we had this big pullback day. So we need to know, where are we heading? Where are we going? What is the direction that we're heading? So I'm just going to look at the weekly. I just want to show you quickly the weekly time frame. So on the weekly, we reacted off of this level. We swept the high just a bit. You can see the wick just pierced it. And then we need to identify where is the next liquidity area. Well, first of all, is liquidity points as old highs and old lows. So here we have a very clear old low on the weekly. So we have this massive bearish engulfing candle. Then this week started off by pulling up into the previous week, like making a 50% retracement into that week, and then possibly we can see further downside movement into the lows on the weekly time frame. So because we're day traders, we want to be trading into the direction of the weekly, where the weekly is going, mainly because that would give us our high probability setups, not because we want to swing trade, not maybe you're going to hold from day to all the way to the downside. It's just so that you know which side is going to be pro-trend trade. So currently I believe that bearishness is the pro-trend, and we're going to see more bearishness this week and next week, primarily because we already reacted off of a weekly high. We saw the reaction coming towards the downside. We broke this low. You can see there we broke it, closed just closed below it. And now this is the next low that we can look for price to reach into. We can maybe move up a bit higher, fill some of this imbalance in here, but then ultimately I do think we will go towards the downside. So that's just a weekly view on GU. Looking at the daily, you can see daily we broke the structure. Even it's marginal, but we broke it, we closed below it. Yesterday we had a big push towards the upside, and potentially we created the high of the week yesterday. So I'm just going to for this be on the 4-hour time frame. So potentially we did create the high of the week yesterday. We had this order block over here. Price came into it, reacted in there, and then we started to see now the push towards the downside. So what I will be looking for, I will mostly be looking then for continuation setups, sell setups towards the downside. Targeting these lows firstly, and then potentially the lower ones over here. So we can see it's relatively a big range from, let's take it from this high to here is about 140 pips, and then from this to this is also about, well, it's 120 pips, 115 pips. So there's a lot of room for us to move towards downside and a lot of places for us to react from as well. We can potentially see a reaction around this area, but not, I don't think as strong, because this impulse leg towards the upside did not break this high. So I do think that we are still below, just created a lower high, also possibly the high of the week for this week. So now we'll need to see how low price will go and eventually break these areas. So for sells, I will definitely target these lows on the 4-hour time frame if it's more of a longer hold, not a scalping trade, but definitely looking for shorts. If we can just go to the 1 hour, what can we see? Price even reacted off of the 1 hour order block in there, perfectly tapped into it during late New York hours. Well, for me it's late. Reacted within this area, played along, and then we started to see the downside in Asian session, moving down, having a slight pullback just towards the end of Asian session, and then started pushing down further. So it's important to note that we have some areas on the 1 hour as well that we need to be not careful of, but just be conscious of. We have this 1 hour order block, and I say this is an order block mainly because it's last down candle before the up movement that broke relatively minor structure inside the range. So we have structure there, and we had these series of structure as well. So it's kind of minor structure breaks on the 1 hour as well. So definitely I think we will see a reaction off of here like this, but I don't think that this will be enough to push us up, breaking this high, mainly because of the high time frame I do believe is bearish from the weekly, daily, so might see just a small pullback and then a further push towards the downside, or it will just break through this area completely. That's another scenario. So keeping in mind the high time frame, so keeping in mind weekly bearish, daily bearish, and possibly 4 hours more bullish with this big push towards the upside. Now we need to find setups, I believe, that align with the higher time frame more than they do with the lower time frame, especially if you want higher probability trades that the odds are more in your favor. So let's quickly jump to the 50-minute. Okay, the Asian session that I look at is there from, this is GMT plus 2, make a note if you're not used to it. So it's from 2 to 6. There is the Asian session. So we just note the Asian high and Asian low. There's our Asian high and our Asian low, like this. So you can see price is relatively trending, consolidated, more trending within this range, not a clear consolidation within this area. Now I'm just seeing price pushing out of this area, so potentially we can see maybe a pullback towards this candle and then a drop further, or price will just drop down and not give us any indication of returning. It might not. So it's half an hour before Frankfurt Open. So that's another thing that I will do. We'll look at Frankfurt Open is at 8. There's Frankfurt Open. And I just call it FO. Did I save it? I didn't. So let's just quickly do that. Say Frankfurt Open. And we just want to have dash lines. Yes. So there's our Frankfurt Open. Possible reaction around this area or just further pushes towards the downside. So as I said, I do think that this is the high of the week. So let's just make a note here. Monday, high of the week. Sorry. So this is the Monday high of the week. Putting it there. Reacted off of the 1 hour and the 4 hour level in here. So possible downside movement for me is still on the cards, and I do think targeting these lows as a potential area for shorts is good, or anything in here for short-term target if we get a sell, if we get a retracement. So even if we just look at premium and discount, if this is the swing, if the swing stops here now, we don't know where it's going to stop, but we want to see price maybe pull back into premium area and then sell off towards the downside again. But for now, nothing yet high probable, because we want to sell on a lower high and not sell at a lower low. That's important to note. Okay, that's it for GU. I'm not going to go into deep. And yes, let's see how this plays out and how it goes. Next up, we're going to look at EU. Let's also start from the weekly time frame. Just going to remove everything. Okay, so on the weekly as well, we can see clearly that most recently we broke above this weekly high, took the liquidity above that high, and now I do think we will be reaching for a lower weekly level. So there we have a weekly order block, weekly area of interest, as well as an all low. So my estimation, my guess is that the price will, what's the word? My speculation, I'm speculating that price will reach lower into this area. Now you can see why the previous week, massive push towards the downside, a lot of bearish momentum, and possibly we can expect price to continue that bearish momentum after that big move towards the downside. In the past, when we had bearish momentum, it kind of sustained and kept until it like flattened out. There's no indication of price flattening out and moving, losing momentum. So just from the weekly I feel is bearish. You can welcome to disagree with me. The daily as well, bearishness. Yesterday we had a pullback day, but I do think today we can see another continuation towards the downside. If we just target the previous day's low, there's the previous day's low, and there is the previous day's high. We already reacted off of the previous day's high. Now all that's left is the previous day's low. Kind of feeling that previous day starts to sound weird. There's a daily order block, possible area where we can reach into, so that's good as well. Let's look at so we can see that the daily is also bearish. Look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour reached up into this area of liquidity, so this is just a wick zone. I'm just gonna call this supply for now. Just an area of supply where price reached into, and this happened kind of late for me, not in my trading times. And now we're starting to see price move lower. So not much to see on the 4 hour, except for that price reacted off of this daily level and then possibly moving down towards this level, towards the downside. We didn't have any clear breaks of structures, so I think that price is relatively still within this range. So nothing much to get excited for. Let's go to the 1 hour. Okay, so the 1 hour, on the 1 hour we had this level of support, we broke that, we kind of pulled back, retested something in here, now we're pushing down. We have this area that we kind of need to be careful for, because that's an intraday order block with a clean structure break as well. A structure break up there, a structure break there as well. So we had some consolidation, breakout, retesting of that consolidation area, and then price pushing down. We'll need to see how price reacts around this area. Possibly price can react, push back a bit, break through, pull back, retest, and then a further downside movement. So that is one scenario. Another scenario that we can possibly look at is if price reacts here and sustains and keeps that level, creating new structure and then pushing up higher. So those are things that we can look at for EU. So I'm going to not go lower than the 1 hour, because we would want to first see how this area is respected or how it's reacted from. And then let's look at the dollar index quickly. This will give us a clear picture as well. So if the dollar goes up, then our other pairs will most likely be going down. So it could be a bit difficult to read the dollar index. We have this level in here, clear order block for me, where price broke structure. We already retested it and we came back to test it. We opened up. This is probably a new day. Started pushing towards the upside, but now there's definitely some areas in here that can act as areas of sensitivity where price can react from, and most probably stall and not see much further happening. So let's quickly go to GU again. We can see that GU is also now, let's go to the 50 minutes. What this could also be is just a sweep of the Asian low. You can see Asian low on the 50 minute over there. Price has kind of took the liquidity above this area. So price could potentially just be grabbing the liquidity and then continue up higher. But for us to really continue up higher, we want to see a close above that area. If price breaks above this area, closes above it, then that would be for me an indication that this down here is probably an order block. And then we return to this order block and we look for buys to go higher. So that is currently my analysis and my view. Let's quickly have a look just at the news. So just looking at my FX book, economic calendar, I don't have a preference to which one. This was just the fastest one to get. Not a lot of high probability news for today. You can see all low, low, low. Some high impact news late this afternoon in 8 hours time. And then tomorrow is the more bigger news day for the euro. You can see all the euro news, euro pound news, and then again for the Canadian, and then the dollar news, quite medium to high impact news tomorrow, and the presidential speech as well tomorrow night. So it could be a relatively big day tomorrow. Today might be slower, so let's be patient, wait and see what happens, and yeah, happy trading.